Could a New York strip roast actually be better than prime rib? It's packed with flavor, costs less, and is leaner, perfect for families who don't love fatty steak, like mine. I'll coat it in a tasty herb butter with a twist, slow roast it to juicy medium rare perfection, and finish with one of my favorite pan sauces. But first, let's prep the roast. I've got a 9-pound pasture-raised New York strip roast. You can pick this up at any butcher shop and most grocery stores. The first thing we're going to do is clean it up a bit by trimming some of that fat. I always prefer to use a boning knife here, but a chef knife will absolutely work. I usually like to leave about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of fat cap on the top. This is a really good pillowy fat that's going to render, soften, and flavor the heck out of this roast. I also trim both the top and bottom sides as well. And you may get a little meat in there, and that's okay because most likely this would simply overcook and burn off anyways. Next, flip it over and trim the bottom side and remove any overly fatty areas, silver skin, or any of that stringy like fat. It's no good. Now you can definitely go overboard, so give yourself some grace and call it good when it's good. In the end, you'll probably get about 1 pound of trimmings, leaving us with an 8-pound roast. Now for all the trimmings for this, it can either be used to render out the fattier pieces to make tallow, or use anything with a bit of meat on it for stock. Next, I'm going to score the fat cap on the top, going 1/8 to a max of 1/4 inch deep in both directions, so that I essentially have a diagonal meat checkerboard, if you will. I'll explain why I'm doing this in a few minutes, but first I'm going to truss this up. You'll probably need about a 4-foot long piece of butcher's twine. This you can get at any grocery store. Now starting at one side of the roast, go underneath and then securely tie a double knot. There should be about 4 to 6 inches of twine left hanging over. Now scoot over about 1 inch and place your finger down. Wrap the long end of the twine under your finger around the roast and then loop it underneath right where your finger was holding the twine in place. Pull it taut. Repeat this process all the way down the roast, and as you pull it, the beef will start to take a more compact shape. This is what trussing does and is all about. It helps for more even cooking and avoids any sagging pieces of roasting meat where one end is well done and the other is rare. This is a better method. Next up, flip this thing over and run the long end of the remaining twine under every other piece of twine until you get to the end. Once you're there, simply tie a double knot with that remaining 4 to 6 inch piece. Cut off any excess with your knife. Now it's prepped and ready for seasoning. We're next going to transfer it over to a rack over a sheet tray. Figure about 1 tablespoon of coarse salt per 4 pounds of meat. It may seem like a lot, but this is a huge roast and it's going to take some good seasoning so that every bite is delicious. You'll thank me in the end. And when seasoning, season every single side of this roast. I mean all sides. Then you'll repeat the process by seasoning with ground pepper on all sides. I usually use 2 teaspoons per pound, but you can go heavier if you want. Remember, beef loves pepper. Now we're just about ready for roasting, but I'm thinking I want to dry brine this overnight. It's just going to make it more flavorful, retain more moisture, and help get a better outer Maillard brown crust. All of these things crucial for a delicious roast. So in the fridge, uncovered for as little as 12 and up to 48 hours. And once it is roasting time, I take it out of the fridge and let it sit at room temp for maybe only 25 to 30 minutes just to take the chill off of it. And while it sits, I promised you an herb butter. So in a stand mixer, add 4 sticks of softened unsalted butter, fix the paddle attachment, and whip it on high speed for 5 to 7 minutes or until it becomes light and fluffy. In the meantime, let's load it up with some herbs, beginning with 1.5 tablespoons of minced fresh rosemary, 2 tablespoons of minced fresh parsley, 1.5 tablespoons of minced fresh thyme, and finally 2 tablespoons of thinly sliced chives. And just an FYI, all of these can be replaced with half the amount of their dried counterparts. Once the butter is whipped up, we're going to remove it and add in all those minced fresh herbs. Then I'm going to finely grate in 2 cloves of garlic using a microplane, or any fine grater or zester will work, followed up with the zest of 1 lemon. Let's get the most out of this by slicing in half and extracting as much juice as possible. For me, a little clean acid is always welcomed onto meat. Season it well with coarse salt and freshly cracked black pepper. Then, for an option but a little secret of mine, 2 tablespoons of dry sherry. If you don't know, Sherry and beef are best friends and they're a fantastic couple. Back onto the mixer and whip it just until incorporated. Be sure to try it and make sure it's delicious. And if you know me, you know I always make a bit extra because it freezes so well and it's so good on anything you want to put it on. Now let's head back over to our cutting board where our roast is, and using a rubber spatula, let's take half the herb sherry butter and evenly smother it all over the top of that fat cap, completely covering it. I've got a little surprise for the remaining half herb butter, but first, don't forget to place the thermometer in the center of the beef. Then it's going in the oven at 225 degrees Fahrenheit because, sorry, the reverse sear method just does it right until it reaches 108 to 110 F internally. This should take about 2 to 2.5 hours. After that amount of time, pull it out. And I do have to say, anytime you reverse sear, that first initial cook doesn't render the most delicious, appetizing looking meat, but I promise we will get there. Also, notice how the scores have opened up. That herb butter is just going right down into the meat, making it that much better. Okay, let's loosely cover it in foil and let it rest for 60 minutes. A good rule of thumb on resting is half the amount of time of that opening cook. And it's crazy, it already smells insanely good in here. During this resting time, I'm going to crank the heat up to 500 degrees F, and if you've got convection at this temp, then use it. While it's resting, here's a little bonus for that remaining herb butter. On a quarter sheet pan with parchment paper, I just happen to have 2 nice-sized beef shank bones that have maybe a total of 1.5 to 2 ounces of marrow running through that bone. I'm just going to coat it in a small amount of olive oil on each side, then a gentle season of coarse salt and pepper on each side, going in the oven on a middle rack at that 500 degree F temperature for 20 to 25 minutes to roast it up, or until the marrow reaches 145 F internally. And once it is roasted, I'm just going to quickly set it to the side and let it cool before adding the remaining butter to a food processor, then extract as much of that marrow as possible. Now you can certainly double or even triple the amount of marrow for an extra umami beef bomb flavor. Now hit on the top of the processor and pulse it until the marrow is finely minced and completely incorporated, resulting in a beautiful whipped bone marrow butter. Yeah, this is going to be really good. Alright, I'm going to remove the foil from the beef, and then it's going back in that middle rack at 500 degrees Fahrenheit for only 20 to 25 minutes, or until it reaches 118 to 120 F internally. I like medium rare, and you have to account for carryover cooking. Now, you can go even another level with this by reverse sear smoking at the exact same temperatures as I did in the oven. Smoke them if you got them. And don't worry, I've not forgotten about that sauce. So while it is roasting, let's get to making one of my favorites known as Bordelaise. Quickly small dice up 1 peeled shallot. Next, crush about 12 to 15 peppercorns using the bottom of a frying pan. This will make it more aromatic. Then smash 1 whole garlic clove. In a medium-sized sauce pot, add in 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter and heat it over medium until it's melted. Stir in the shallots, garlic, peppercorns, and saute it for about 2 to 4 minutes or until they are lightly brown, just like this. This simple process will make the sauce more flavorful. Now to glaze with 1 cup of dry red wine. I usually like to use a Cabernet Sauvignon, but a Merlot, Shiraz, or any other dry red is good. Reduce the amount of wine by 75%, so there should only be about a 1/4 cup remaining. Now, I'm going to add in 4 total cups of demi-glace. I recently made a video recipe on this, and you should definitely check it out if you want the real deal. If not, you can use 4 cups of beef stock and a beurre Meunier roux or slurry to thicken it up. Add 1 sprig of thyme, a half bay leaf, and we're going to cook this down for 10 to 15 minutes, and oh, look at that richness. So good. Now I'm going to remove it from the heat, and classically you would finish it with some butter, or the correct culinary term is Montauban. But hey, let's do it with about 1.5 to 2 tablespoons of that bone marrow butter. Yep, going to be good. A quick season of coarse salt, whisk it until it's incorporated, then let's give it a final strain through a chinois or fine mesh strainer. Gotta try this. There's no words. It's just a beef umami bomb. So good. All right, let's go check on this beef. But first, one more quick thing. If you want, you could turn this into a mushroom bordelaise by adding it to some sauteed mushrooms. This one is ridiculous. Now to that roast. I'm right at 118F internally, so I'm going to pull it. Oh my gosh, does it look and smell amazing. No need for a rest on this since we've already done that, but while it sits here for a minute or two, I'm just going to lather on a bit more of that bone marrow butter because why not? All right, it's go time. Remove the thermometer, remove the butcher's twine, place it onto the cutting board, and let's get a slice and see what we're working with here. Yeah, end-to-end medium rare. My mouth is literally watering. This is every bit as good as prime rib.
The sauce, the butter, the cooking method, this is next level goodness. But if you're on a bit of a budget and still want some huge flavors, check out my roast beef recipe video. It is seriously delicious. I'll catch you over there.